Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. How are you?
Very good, very good. It's late where I am. It's almost midday where you are. But so far so good. Last time we spoke, Chris, you told me a story about turning down the rowing team because you didn't want to wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, sit in the cold, or shave your head. So, looking back now, Chris, do you ever wonder what would have happened if you said yes?
Well, to tell you the truth, not much. Not much. I mean, the reality is the University of Washington has one of the top rowing programs in the world, right? And they continue to be national and international champions. And it's a whole world that I'm sure would have opened. But I went instead kind of in the opposite direction and became captain of the rugby team. And that in and of itself opened a whole different set of doors. And frankly, three of my closest friends are guys that I met playing rugby at the University of Washington. We're still pals, 40, 50 years later. So I've got no real regrets about it. I mean, every once in a while, the rowers get covered in glory and they get a lot of TV attention. But, sorry, 5 o'clock in the morning, out in the dark, in the wet, in the cold, with a buzz cut. As a 19-year-old kid, that was never going to work.
No, no. It's funny because that story sounds simple, but it touches something bigger. We spend so much time talking about transformation, yet most of it start with small decisions that seems insignificant at the time. That's where I love to begin today. Let's get into this conversation.
All right.
The following is a conversation with Chris Majer, a leadership strategist, founder of Human Potential Project, an Amazon best-selling author and advisor to executives, entrepreneurs, military leaders, and high-performance teams. This is Pre-Zero Sports Talk podcast, and I'm your host, Sid Bensalab. Today, we delve into leadership, transformation, human potential, and what it truly takes to create lasting change within ourselves, our teams, and our organizations. Thank you so much for tuning in, subscribing, and supporting the show. Your support and financial contribution helps us bring authentic voices, real stories, and conversations that go beyond the game. If you would like to support the show, please check the description for more. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks again. As always, great to be here.
I've been really looking forward to this conversation since our last chat last year. So, you've spent decades helping people transform from Fortune 500 executives and entrepreneurs to military leaders and elite performers. But before we discuss leadership, business, or transformation, I'd like to start with the person behind the work. When you look back, Chris, on your younger self, what experiences shaped the Chris Majer we see today?
Oh, Lord. Oh, yeah, let's not fool around with anything trivial. What experiences? Well, let's go back in time. So, I was born and raised in Spokane, Washington, a town you've never heard of, 200,000 people. My father was the Ford dealer in Spokane. His father was the Ford dealer. I
Right.
was supposed to be the third generation. And
Okay.
when I was 18 and full of myself, as you are at that age, I told my dad I just couldn't see myself wearing a white belt, white shoes, and selling Ford Pintos. That conversation did not go over well. And I headed off to the University of Washington. He didn't really want me to go there. So I was, a little on shaky ground to begin with at that point in my life. Now, I hit the campus in the fall of 1969.
Right.
People may remember the history. In the spring of 1970, so some 6 months later, the whole world erupted, right? We had Kent State and protests. The next thing I know, I'm leading marches down the freeways And I became the broadcast voice of Radio Free Seattle as we took over the campus radio station. And all this at the ripe old age of 19, 20 years old. So I had set out to be an attorney. That didn't prove to be the case. I, as you heard, said no to the rowing team, ended up playing rugby, and I graduated, did a master's degree with an organizational development, and went to work for the county executive here, which is kind of like a regional governor, and thought, this could be it. I spent, 2 years working in that office, and realized that government was not for me. So I think the seminal experience, the seminal turning point was right about this time. As I said, I was a rugby player. Every year there was a big fancy tournament down in Monterey, California. 35 teams invited from around the world, very elite. We were consistently invited down there. And I got to the airport and realized that the book that I was reading, I'd left on my bedside table. I go, oh, crap. Now what am I going to do? I'm not the kind of guy who can stare out the window for 3 or 4 hours or read the in-flight magazine 10 times. So, hey, I'm a pretty bright guy. Let's figure this out. Let's go get another book. How hard is this? So I went to the airport bookstore. You've been to the airport bookstore. Everybody listening to this has been to the airport bookstore. You know what it is. This big wall of books here. And there's, history books and thrillers and bodice rippers and, all kinds of stuff. This is going to sound a little strange now, I admit this, but up in the far, far high corner, there's this little book, and it literally started talking to me. I don't mean like an audio book. It was somehow talking in my head. And I'm looking around like, what the world is going on here? So clearly, I was supposed to buy this book, which I did. It was called The Ultimate Athlete by a guy named George Leonard. And I thought, oh, well, perfect, I'm supposed to read this and I'll learn something. It'll help improve my game. We'll have an even better weekend, da-da-da-da. So I get the book, get on the plane, start reading, and I didn't put it down till we landed, 2.5, 3 hours later. But at the end of it, I was left with, wow, I don't understand a lot of what this guy was writing about. He's talking about things like intentionality and synchronicity and some Japanese energy called ki and some martial art called Aikido that I'd never heard of. So, but I don't understand this stuff, but I like it. It resonated with me somehow. So the answer to your question, the seminal terminal event in my life was literally a mystical experience in the airport bookstore.